The Social Dilemma on Netflix gives us a great insight into technology addiction, surveillance capitalism, on how disinformation is being spread, reducing us users into mere lab rats. It also highlights hysteria, fake news, and the clickbaity disinformation that has been making rounds as well, and how detrimental it is to society today. Let's understand one thing. We're all guilty of riding this particular wave, and ironically, you're watching this on, yes, social media. Social media, as explained in Social Dilemma 2, was created with the intent of bringing the world closer and enhancing connections, and has some wonderful positives. But today we all need to take a step backwards and ask ourselves this question. Is this the age of disinformation, where fake news spreads faster 6 times than real news? This whole hysteria around news that goes viral and disinformation going viral is real. Take, for example, what happened in India recently following the death of Sushant Singh Rajput. We witnessed the vicious vilification campaign on social media spurred by certain sections of the media. Hashtags like hashtag arrest Riya Chakraborty, hashtag Riya PR fails, hashtag Sushant was murdered were some of the many top trends on Twitter in India. An irresponsible media trial followed by an even more irresponsible social media trial, which was worrying, defamatory to a woman, even before the investigative agencies finished their job. And guess what? The jury's still out on that one, strictly legally speaking. Who are we as Twitter handles and Instagram handles to go ahead and pronounce anybody in this world guilty? It is done in kangaroo courts and at best in Banana Republic. A woman was slut-shamed. A woman was mentally tortured, harassed, and accused of everything from being a gold digger to a murderer, as though innocent until guilty is a thing of the past. And mind you, all of this took place smack in the middle of a CBI investigation which has been ordered by the Supreme Court. The thing is, what we must understand is that none of us are in the position to decide whether anybody, for that matter, is guilty or not. It is for the investigative agencies and the courts to decide that, not us. We can only hope that the investigative agencies do their job well, and if found guilty, let the law of the land take its course. If found innocent, how is this poor woman going to even undo all this defamatory damage which has been done by social media trials? We all need to step back and ask ourselves these questions before we're getting too finger happy with starting to post, or getting carried away by clickbaity information, or rather disinformation, which is making way as real news. This is a real problem. It can really ruin lives and it can really ruin families. So to be responsible is our job as users. You know, interestingly, the docudrama is also noting how social media was fundamentally supposed to be this tool which is supposed to be doing good. And even the creators, when they started off, they didn't want this to become what it is today. They wanted this to bring the world closer, have just about a half a degree separation in the world, and wanted to create something beautiful out of this. They never expected this to go down this route. Today it is destroying people's reputations and families, to say the least. The same tech geniuses who felt and who started this particular movement of social media do not feel that way anymore, and that is an alarming concern. The consequences and the flip side of the coin have been witnessed by us all very recently.
There is a lot of name calling, accusations without proof, and a lot of it is driven because of sensationalizing and TRPs and profit and clicks, and society is also lapping it up, and it is absolutely spreading negativity across everywhere. There is an inherent satisfaction within people that's coming out in all this way.
What is very disturbing, which has come out of the video and the docudrama, is that Jeff Orlovsky, who's the maker of this docudrama, has highlighted how privacy breaches and addiction are features of these social media platforms that we are on. They're not bugs.
We're constantly bombarded with information, a lot of which is put in front of us in a very sensationalized manner, triggering so many deep emotions. And a lot of times people don't realize what could be the purpose or the intention behind these messages. It's the continuous reiteration of these messages which also creates this illusion of truth, and people are not able to decipher that this could be fake or this could be misinformed information which is coming towards them. It's very important as a result that we focus on creating media literacy, encourage people to start asking about the credibility of the sources from where they're receiving this information.
If you recollect the notorious online game Blue Whale that digitally manipulated the thoughts of people who were typically teenagers and drove them to take the extreme step of committing suicide. Just like that. Now imagine that happening at a mass scale with personalized messaging being sent to each of the billions of people to perceptibly change their thought processes. Now, that is being done by simply taking your personal views and playing them back to you through the social media feeds. That gives you an impression that almost everyone believes in the same things that you believe in.
When you put out two fair sides of the story, there's emotional incitement on social media with counter hashtags that make their way furthering the toxic narrative. And guess what? You are their ultimate delight. They're having you for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Slow claps. In just less than 2 decades of its existence, there's palpable threat of civil war, as admitted by one of the commentators. Electorate is being fed narratives that suit some political parties on social media. Genocide is incited in some part of the world due to disinformation. And most recently, social media has character assassinated an entire family of a young actress to smithereens. It is not just about Riya Chakraborty here. It is about any individual out there which is right there up for taking. Tomorrow it could be you, tomorrow it could be me. Remember that. The formula seems to be very simple. A heady combination of noise media that completely feeds on sensationalism. Then those hashtags make their way into social media. Then there is another social media trial that is conducted. All this evokes a certain sentiment on social media. You have to understand that. This is what the social media companies really want you to do. Come back to it so that you are the advertiser's delight. And there is a division of society that we see them. An us versus them, or an us versus the lobby, whatever that means. Question is data today free? Is data today objective? Is data today non-sexist? Is it free of ethnic and gender biases? Is it created to label someone guilty in the court of public opinion? No. This is all a larger game of surveillance capitalism by social media giants. The scale of data collected by them helps them predict, influence, and manipulate your behavioral patterns, and can even make you a robot without a humane thinking cap on. The point we're trying to make here is be discerning on social media. This is not a let's slam social media kind of a video. This is a real issue at hand that we're facing as society. The social dilemma is real. Even the naysayers in the film rightfully suggest how the good can always be salvaged through the right kind of changes that can be brought in. It is time for us, as a responsible society, as a responsible country, to use our social media responsibly, with a discerning mindset, and readjust our behavioral patterns on social media, not get carried away by clickbaity disinformation. And it is also time for these social media companies to revisit their compliance, their ethics, maybe their algorithms too, for a more sustainable world going forward.